Hello, and welcome to the Spooky Chris podcast. My name is Chris Ringler. I'm an author, filmmaker, artist, and all-around ne'er-do-well, and this is my short-form podcast. You can find out more about me, my books, my movies, and everything else at spookychris.com. As I record this, it is August 23rd, 2021. I want to take a few minutes kind of to recognize just the strange pivot point we are in our modern history. Not that I have any insight that isn't already out there that people don't already have. Sometimes you want to say things out loud for yourself as much as anyone else, but it strikes me that we have been at a pivot point for a few years now. But this is definitely a big one, like right this moment kind of. And history has them, where we stand or fall, where we shift, where culture changes, where belief changes. And these, don't happen overnight. These aren't lightning bolt kind of things. Generally speaking. It takes something, massive to really shift things that way. Like the World War II, things shifted dramatically because it was so cataclysmic that everything changed. In the very narrowest view, even things changed as far as not even that narrow. The future of Germany changed. On another level, population, because there was the post-war baby boom. So that obviously you have a baby boom that will change the culture, the makeup, the history, just because you're adding more people in. All of those baby boom kids are in power now, so all of that generation has taken over, the reins of history in many ways. So it mattered. It matters. So as I say, we're in a pivot point right now we're kind of at the nexus of a lot of things coming together. And it's interesting and sad to kind of note some of the changes. Within politics has always been fraught with villainy and misconduct and misdeeds, lying, theft, and stealing, or and cheating, and all that good stuff. It is what it is. You're putting someone into a position of power, and people want some of that juice, and so they will say things to get some of that power, just a few drops even, and the people in power will many times be corrupted by it to some degree, because so many people are willing to do almost anything for some of that juice. So politics has never been a sterling example of the best of us. It can be, but it often isn't. I think that's why there's not, in our democracy, one leader. There's several, so that there's fail-safes, and that there's more voices than just one person kind of coming up and making it up as they go along. But in the last generation, for sure, things have definitely darkened. In the last few years, things have gotten so they're pitch black, and we just have lost any kind of a sense or ability to step away from it. We identify so deeply with politics, which is strange to think that we are expected to side with one of two sides. Like, you're either Democrat or you're Republican in America. You're conservative or you're a liberal, and which those alone have become almost curse words. The notion of the liberal, the spend the liberal, and who is loosey goosey with things, and who doesn't think of the future but thinks of the moment. Wants to bail everyone out, and the bleeding heart liberal is of course the idea, which is, we'll say is very funny in and of itself, because the idea that you wanting to help someone is terrible. Again, it goes back to this idea of it's a poor shaming, and the fallacy of bootstrapping it, and you should pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and you should figure things out yourself. It's that silly line of thought that is still carried through today, but the people that generally say that never ever did that. Like, they always had someone helping them up. It's very rare you find someone who literally oh no, 0 to 60, I did every last thing myself. It's everybody, at least it's a relationship thing. It's someone, or there's something else involved. But then the other side is the conservative side, which has gone from fiscally conservative and conservative values, which are more family-based values, to more of an interest in I hate to say it, because I lean liberal, so I don't want. I'm trying to go at this and not be stereotype all, but the conservatives tend to be more religious, focused and based, and focused more on the values and morals, and with a talking point of fiscal conservativeness. But government spends, and it spends a lot without thinking. So I don't think either side is really great with saving money. But both sides have become, to think that you either choose one or the other. You are either this or you're that. You can't be a little of both. You can't be, I want to help everybody, but I think that we should have more conservative values. Or, I believe in conservative values, but I think we need to help the poor. It's weird. It's weird that, like I say, you have to choose one or the other, and we're not, you're not allowed by the system to really kind of stand in the middle, and that's very strange. But as these last few years have shown us, the political climate has gotten caustic. So much so that you have, and again, nothing is new under the sun, as they say. So none of this we're not seeing new types of people, but we're seeing grifters that are so blatant as to not even hide what they do, where they, once upon a time you would kind of hide the lie, and you would hide kind of your criminality, and try to portray yourself as, oh no, I would never do this. I am the person of the people. And now it's more of, they just double down on the lie. They're like, how dare you say I'm lying? You're lying. And we have become so distrustful of one another, of the other, the great, we've been told by multiple generations of leaders that these foreigners are coming for our jobs that most of us don't want anyways. And it's just hard to keep straight who's telling the truth, who's lying. And it really is both sides, but right now the conservatives are the most dangerous of the two. But when you have both sides kind of saying, pointing and saying they're lying, I promise they're lying. And then it gets even worse, where it's not even just they're lying, it's they're trying to destroy the country. They are trying to let in, a form of villainy. They're trying to destroy our way of life. They're trying to take away your job and your security and your like hope and religion. It's fear mongering, and we've lived in this fear mongering for, like I say, it's been going for a while, but with the Trump administration, it ramped up because you had someone who his style of business is one that, like, hey, like, if I can't, like, he's the art of the deal. The art of the deal is he's going to bully you. And he's going to bully you until you either say yes and give up, or until he finds ways or people that will help him destroy you. And he takes everything personally. He takes everything as if it is a challenge to himself. I don't think at all he had any interest in being president of the United States of America. I think once the pundits and everyone started making fun of him and laughing it off and saying, oh God, him president never happened. They told him no. So suddenly he was like, no, I will be president. And people didn't want him until they started to realize this outsider mystique was just so seductive. Like, oh, well, gosh, he's an outsider. Of course he'll do great. All these people, like, or he's a celebrity and, oh, he's rich. He said he's never going to take a paycheck. Well, which is the best thing to say, because this man was smart enough to know that, oh gosh, I can make more money outside of this couple hundred, like $300,000-ish a year for the presidency. I can make more money with other stuff because I'm president. And again, it's not like he's the first one to ever do that. I'm sure there are oceans, or 40-some. There are a lot of presidents, I'm sure, that have, if they don't make it right then, they make it now, where they can charge tens of thousands of dollars for, hundreds of thousands for an appearance fee to go and, like, give a 10-minute speech to a group of wealthy people and then walk away. So it's always been partially about the money. But he found a way to make the money while he was in office. And he used this outsider status to just become a cartoon of himself. Where the more power he got, and the more people that nodded their head and said, yes, 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 the more crazy he got. Where it was truly a situation where the emperor was no clothes. No one would tell him to stop. That's why you see now, like, he would float ideas like, why can't we just kill the protesters? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? In his heart of hearts, did he want that? It's not for me to say, but I absolutely believe he floated those ideas because he was pinwheeling out of control. He was just kind of saying stuff like, oh, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And he had so many people around him that were like, yes, sir, absolutely, sir, that sounds great, sir. And no one was questioning him. Well, very few. And that only emboldened the hatred in these groups, like the Proud Boys and these others that are just, they're there, they've always been there, like the Klan, but they never were very active. But once all this started, and the Democrats, they're socialists, and you say socialist, and we don't even understand what socialism is in America, but we're like, we hear Russian, oh, they're trying to make us like the Russians or the Chinese. They make it so as if we're as like our enemies. Oh, well, to be like them, and they think like, oh, they're gonna take our religion away, and they're gonna make our women do this, and they're gonna do all these things and enslave us. And that's not the case. That's not even to say that socialism is good or bad. That's just saying that is not the cartoon we are presented is not what it is. So as we had someone like stoking the flames happily for their own end, like, the madness in American society that we've had for a while, where we've been at war for 20-some years. We have seen these, like, terrorist attacks that we would always just see on the television happening overseas and go, gosh, it's so sad, I'm going to send a few dollars. They happen on our shores now. School shootings, which again had been a rare occurrence here, are a regular thing now. Because we don't want to deal with mental health. We don't want to talk about mental health. That's weak. Men don't cry. Kids shouldn't get a participation trophy. That's weak. girls need to stop luring men into like committing like acts of violence against them because it's truly the woman's fault because she lured him into it. Like, it's just this madness and these ideas. And anymore, we don't want to have discourse, and that's part of an outcropping of social media. And I love social media. Social media is great and it's important, but it's a platform of shutting people down. And yes, there are echo chambers, but I mean friendships. You want support. We sit there and like, well, you get yourself in an echo chamber and you don't even hear no other. Yeah, I guess. But you also, like, if you have good friends, like, they don't sit there and challenge everything about you, but they present ideas that will make you wonder, like, oh, well, maybe this is a different way to go, and maybe this, and maybe that. So you have all of these people that are trying to figure out what they believe. And then you have the firebrands that spout like they're volcanoes of hate and fear. They're coming for you. They're going to take your way of life. I am a white guy. I'm a heterosexual white guy. These loonies have been screaming at people like me for years now, like, they're going to take your job, they're going to take your women, they're going to take this, they're going to take that. You can't even be a man anymore. You should be ashamed. And it's funny because anything where it is someone having to take responsibility for actions, for mostly, usually it's these, with cancel culture. Yeah, some of them are kind of questionable, like where it's like, that's a knee-jerk reaction. Most of them, it's legit stuff that someone did that they finally are paying for. And yeah, it sucks if you lose your way to make a living and this and that, but unfortunately that's sometimes what consequences mean. And that is what it is. But we've been told, again, I'm a white guy, over and over again, like, oh, well, you can't even be a white man anymore. You got to apologize for it, and they're going to come for you. And all this fear-mongering, telling us that people of color are going to overtake the country and this and that. And it's this fear-mongering and trying to get people on edge. So like, oh, well, I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my standing. Even the most kind of like, well, I think everybody should be great. Because you would think people who have of faith, people who belong to the church, people who believe, you would think they would be like, well, no, I love everyone. I believe, we all deserve, to have happiness and hope and live in the Lord's love and whatever. You would think that they would be more kind of mellowed out, kind of, and just kind of more open to the idea that, I may not agree, but we have the right to coexist. But even religion has been weaponized, and it's not it's not a Western thing. It's been weaponized across the globe. It always has been. Ooh, sorry. It's not a new thing. So you have people at the pulpit preaching hate. You have people in leadership preaching hate. So it's, and we have been, telling men for, decades to man up, to don't be a wuss, to, crying is weak, asking for help is weak, like compassion is weak. There's all these things. And women have been told, like, oh, well, you've got to watch what you wear because you don't want to mislead a man, or, well, you don't want to give them the wrong idea, or be careful out there because men, all of these things to make them afraid of men. Reasonably so. But, like, framing it in a way as if the woman is responsible for the actions of the man. So the groundwork had been laid for us to go crazy. And then we got Trump. And then we got COVID. And it has been heartbreaking to see how we've reacted to COVID. Something that, we look for things to unite us. 9/11 united us, if just for a moment, in tragedy. It united us in this, heartbreak. And then when it turned to, rage, we started to, people started falling off, well, I don't know if that's the way. I don't know if that's the right choice. But for at least a moment, one slim moment, we were united. You would think COVID would do the same, but this is a moment of great world tragedy where you would think we would come together hey, let's get together, let's do what we need to do, and let's just stop this thing now. We'll sacrifice for the moment, and we'll find our way forward. And what we found, as history shows us, some of us willing to make the sacrifices, some of us being forced to. And then it became an issue of freedom. Well, you don't have the right to take my freedom away. But you don't have the right to force my child to wear a mask. You can't force me to get a vaccine. And it's things that are just it is crazy. And it's not even just I don't know if I believe in the vaccine or not. I want some more time to see how this goes. It's not even as simple as that. It is, they're putting magnets in you, they're putting radiation in you, they're going to mind control you, you are not human anymore because your DNA has changed. It's crazy. Everything is conspiracy now. When we knew a guy who was a flat earther and who became a conspiracy guy, we should have taken it as a warning, because this was educated guy, had friends, wasn't, who was an alternative guy, was, not religious in any way, was a liberal, and he fell sway to that. So we can't just say, well, it's those uneducated, right-wing conservatives. It's not. Anyone can fall prey to conspiracy, and conspiracy is it's insanity. And we're at a point where conspiracy has been weaponized, where people in foreign nations are concocting things just to make us crazy because we are all so on edge. And it's we muddle freedom with freeness. No one has taken our freedoms in America. The United States is still as free as it was, 10 days ago. But it's the idea that we must sacrifice for one another, for people we don't necessarily like or respect or trust or support, that gets us. It's that we have to not do things. We're a society who is, I want it now, and you're not going to tell me no. We're a very, very petulant society, and we act like children. And that's a bitter pill, but it is what it is. And we let ourselves be led by the nose by celebrity and media and politics and fear and our religious leaders. We don't think for ourselves. So, because common sense tells you, well, shucks, this sucks, but nearly 1 million people have died. I'm going to mask up, I'm going to get vaccinated, I'm going to do what I can, and just get past this so I can have a future, so my children can have a future. But we don't act that way. We don't believe that way. Which has put us in a climate crisis, which it's crazy to think that people are still denying it. That, well, there ain't no climate crisis. It's just made up. This is just a moment in history. If you can't look around you and look at the weather in the last couple of years, where it's only getting worse. This year has been crazy. And say, boy, yeah, no, we're in trouble. Everything is saying we are past the point of, well, we better get around to it one of these days. We are at the point of, if we don't do something right now, we'll lose everything. Where it's you've already lost some things that you won't get back. And we still just bumble forward. We're well, but I'm going to go to this car show. I'm going to go to this concert. I'm going to go do what I want. You're not going to tell me. And it's politicized again. Literally, this is our planet. This is the only one we have. I have a daughter. I don't want her to lose it. Honestly, that was a fear I had of having a kid. Was the world she entered is a hateful, fearful world, and it breaks my heart for her, and I'm deathly afraid of what this world is. I don't want her to have to face some things women I know and have loved have faced. I don't want her to deal with the monsters out there. and all I can do, and my wife and I, is just prepare her the best we can. But unfortunately, this world is full of monsters. And as we watch this world burn and flood, so many of us are just like marching in the streets against masks. It's like we have bigger fish to fry. Nope. And we could beat this. We could beat this thing. We could beat this pandemic. We could have been back to normal and just arguing over stupid stuff, but we don't want to anymore. Everything is politics. Everything is fear. And it's crazy because we have, as much as anything else, like in the background, corporations have, it's just like when we had the stock market, most recent stock market crash. Corporations just are wringing their hands with delight. Look at all the jobs that have been cut. Look at all the businesses that have gone under, and they have been consolidated. And you take a drive through whatever city or town you're in, and you will see chains that have gone under, local businesses that have gone under. And yeah, it's the pandemic for sure, and I get it. And part of me is like, well, you should adapt or die to some degree. But we'll say they couldn't. I don't know if they could have survived anyways, because what this was a trial by fire, COVID, where if you couldn't survive it or figure out a way to thrive in it, you weren't going to last. And while we were arguing over politics and arguing over mask mandates, corporations have been consolidating power. They have been raking in profits. They have been cutting jobs. They have been, oh gosh, we just can't. We have to let staff go. We just don't have that money anymore. Gosh. But they don't want to cut salary at the top. They don't want to downsize wisely. They just want to cut staff because that's the easiest thing to do. Is you're like, oh, we owe $100 million. Well, gosh, look at this. Here's $100 million worth of employees we cut. If we cut them, we're even again. Gone. And what does that tell the employees that you already have? Like, you're not safe. You're not secure. Where I work, cut someone that I was close to without reason that was obvious, and I since then don't trust my place there. But again, that reminds me of something like I never trust businesses because they're in the business of being in business. They're not in the business of supporting me. But so much has changed during these last few years, and during COVID specifically. And it's no wonder so many of us are going through so much, because we're being told 100 different things, and whatever we choose, we're going to lose people, because I guarantee people you care about or love will have died because of COVID, will have cut ties, or you will have cut ties because of belief systems. We can't just disagree anymore, because people don't want to just disagree. They want to fight, and they want to get loud, and they want to tell you how you're wrong, and and illustrate how wrong you are. And there's been an anger in America that has been bubbling for decades, and it finally has burst. And it's scary because there's more and more of these homegrown terrorists. We worry about Afghanistan and the Taliban and essentially outsourced terrorism when we have our own here. America's always been a target for folks. I mean, it's kind of, we've made ourselves the big boy on the block for a long time. We did. We're not so much anymore, but where we were going to be the culture shifters, we were going to be the shining light. Well, you do that when people will decide that they are against you and stand against you. And the best thing to do is to take that person down, take that idol down to show how powerful you are. But we have our own homegrown terrorists, and we are not dealing with them. And these are angry, disenfranchised, generally speaking, white men, but white people who have been told over and over again that they are going to lose their culture, they're going to lose their world, they're going to lose their jobs, that they and that people of color and people of differing viewpoint and beliefs and identity are going to take their lives and their livelihood and going to corrupt their children. And we are being lied to by all of these trolls in power and outside of power who just want money. They want money and power. They want the politicians want to pull the con job long enough to either get higher up and more power and more money, or to make the speaking circuit and rake in the money and write their books and get speaking gigs on conservative news shows and just kind of become preachers in their own right. And this isn't to tell you I know the truth, that anyone knows the truth. There's outside of the big issues, truth is a gray thing, and we have to kind of find it on our own. But if you can't open your eyes and look around you and see that we are in trouble, that in this past few years things have shifted in such a way that we aren't the same country. We are losing the things that we held dear. And we're not even losing them, we're handing them away. And we're losing the world itself. Then I don't know what to tell you. Because as a creature of being, humans have to figure it out. And figure it out now. If we can't give a damn for one another, if we can't give a damn for this world, if we can't get over ourselves and our selfishness and our petulance and figure out a way hey, we need to work together to save the world, to save each other, then we will live in a perpetual pandemic. We will live in a world where there are a handful of corporations that decide everything we do. Because really, it's the corporations that decide what we do. You want to go on a trip? Can you afford it? Do you want to, write a book? Can you get it published? You can put it on the internet, but can you get access to internet? So say, what if all the internet companies just decided, you know what, we're gonna make a point, and they just shut down service for even a day. Can you imagine how much that would shake up this country? It's insane. And this isn't even me on a conspiracy rant. This is just the way it is. Obviously, no one's shutting anything down. But that's the power these companies have now. And that's the power these politicians have. And that's the power that we have. And if we don't take it back, if in small ways, in ways of responsibility, in ways of stop yelling at one another, in ways of stop taking this world for granted, in ways of stop believing every lie you're told, and starting to expect more from your journalism and your media and your friends and your leaders and yourself. Expect more than just someone coasting through to get theirs. Because we have been a society for too many years now where everybody's just trying to get theirs. And unfortunately, where that could work, where we all could get a little bit of ours, everybody wants all of theirs. And by all theirs, that means that nobody gets anything else. So we'll have a whole handful of billionaires at the end of the world counting their money as they fly their little rockets into space, not getting anywhere, but by God, they can see how tiny we are as the world burns underneath them. And it's been strange to look around the world and to see where we're going and where we've been. And we have done such amazing things as a race, we humans. But if we just don't get our heads out of our asses we may just be handing the reins over to whatever crawling, flying thing that can survive the wasteland that we leave in our wake. And on that note, friend, I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. I hope you're doing the right thing and keeping your family and yourself safe. Let's get through this thing. Let's get back to some manner of normalcy, and let's fix this world before we lose it, because you matter, I matter, we matter. Brain matter, baby. If you want to know more about me and my books and everything else, spookychris.com. I will talk to you sooner than later.